Hello my dear friends, I hope this video will find you in good mind and good health. Last class, if you remember, or last video, we have discussed about producer's behavior and production function along with the various concepts of production. So if you have not gone through that, then it will be very difficult for you to understand today's class, because today we are going to discuss about one of the important law of production, that is the short-run production function law or theory, that is called law of variable proportion. So to understand that, we need to have idea of the concepts that we have discussed the last class, but still I will try my best to give you these concepts once again in this video also as brief as possible, so that it will help you to understand the theory. So without delay, let's start our class. Okay, then let me share my screen with you all. Okay, as you all can see, today's topic, law of variable proportion. So before discussing the law of variable proportion, we need to have basic understanding of certain concept. Some of this concept we have already discussed in the last class, but still we'll discuss again very briefly in this class also. First one is production function, types of production function, short run and long run, factors of production, fixed and variable, total, average and marginal product. Then statement of the law of variable proportion, assumptions of the law, and lastly the explanation of the law of variable proportion. So we will use all these concepts systematically one by one to discuss the law of variable proportion. But before that, just like to have a quick introduction of the law. What is law of variable proportion? The name is new, concept is very old. Concept is the law of diminishing returns. So it is given a new name as law of variable proportion. So it is a classical concept. The law of variable proportion, it is one of the most important law of production. So when we are discussing production, we need to have some idea about the law of variable proportion. So it shows the nature of rate of change in output due to change in variable factor. So যেতিয়া আমি ভেৰিয়েবল ফেক্টৰটো চেঞ্জ কৰি গৈ থাকোঁ, ফিক্স ফেক্টৰটো ফিক্স ৰাখি, তেতিয়া আমাৰ আউটপুটটো কেনেকুৱাকৈ বিহেভ কৰে. So this law tries to explain that. Then this law is a short-run production function, and in short-run we know that it tries to show input-output relation. So this law is about short-run production function or short-run input-output relation, where it tries to explain the changes in the variable total production due to change in the variable production. So just look at the quick recap of the concepts that we have discussed last class, last video. Production function, as we all discussed, it is the technical relation between input and output when we convert all inputs like land, labor, capital, entrepreneurs, organization into outputs. That particular process is or system is called production function. So mathematically we express production function as, if we consider land and labor if we consider labor and capital are the two factors, then we can express production function as Q is a function of labor and capital. So যদি আমি অকল দুটা ফ্যাক্টৰ হৈ লওঁ, লেবাৰ আৰু কেপিটেল, তেতিয়াহ'লে আমি mathematically production function to লিখিব লাগিব Q is a function of labor and capital, য'ত তোমাৰ Q মানে হ'ল total output, total quantity of output, L is labor and K is capital. Types of production function also we have discussed, short run and long run. Short run is a condition. It is a condition in economics where at least one factor of production is fixed and it cannot be changed. So short run production function also is a condition when some inputs are fixed and some inputs are variable. And in the short run production function, the law of variable proportion and the law of returns to scale explains how changes in the variable input changes the total output. So short run production function of কি হয়, আমাৰ কিছুমান ফ্যাক্টৰ ফিক্স থাকে কিছুমান ফ্যাক্টৰ ভেৰিয়েবল ফিক্স ফ্যাক্টৰ যেনে ল্যান্ড ক্যাপিটাল ভেৰিয়েবল ফ্যাক্টৰ যেনে আমি লেবাৰ ক'ব পাৰো সো লেবাৰ বা ভেৰিয়েবল ফ্যাক্টৰ চেঞ্জ হোৱাৰ লগে লগে টোটাল আউটপুট কিমান চেঞ্জ হ'ব কেনেকৈ চেঞ্জ হ'ব that is explained by the law of variable proportion. Then long run is also nothing but the condition when all the factors of production can be changed. So everything is variable in the long run, and long run production function is also explained by a theory or a law that is called law of returns to scale, where all factors are variable. So in the long run ki hoy amar gotei bilak factor of production variable hoy, we can change everything. So when we change everything, how the total product behaves is the long run law of production function or law returns to scale. So total product, marginal product, average product, some are the important concepts of product that we have discussed last class. If you remember, total product is nothing but the total output or volume of goods and services produced at a particular point of time by all the factors of production. Marginal product, it is nothing but the change in the total product when one more unit is added to the variable factor is known as marginal product. Jodi ami eta labor boli dhorilo ejon additional labor ba ejon extra labor loar logo lage amar total product kiman khini change hobo hekhini ke koa hoy marginal product ba prantik utpadon. Average product gor utpadon ba gor utpadika shakti. Average product is the total product per unit of labor per unit of variable factor. So it is the ratio of total product to the quantity of variable factor. So average product ba gor utpadone amak ki koy jetia ami gotei khini product total product when it divided equally to the all the factors of production or equally to the variable factor of production. So jetia ami when we total product divided by the total quantity of variable factor jodi ami labor boli lo tetia ami ki pam average product ba gor utpadon. You see, with the help of this table in the screen, I have given you total product, average product, marginal product with fixed and variable factor, how it changes. We have taken here fixed factor land, yet I mean land ma bhumi fixed factor hisabe loisu. Variable factor we have taken labor amar variable factor. Total product is the total output produced with the fixed and variable factor, and accordingly we calculate marginal and average product. You see, we have only one fixed factor, land, one piece of land, so we cannot change the land because it is fixed. Variable factor we employed up to 6 units, 1 2 3 4 5 6 units. So here you can see when the first unit of labor is employed, the total product is 10 units. And the marginal product is also 10, average product is also 10. As soon as we employ the second unit of labor, we have seen that total product increased from 10 to 30. So দ্বিতীয়জন আমি যেটা labor employ কৰিলো আমাৰ total production কিমান বাঢ়িলে 10 ৰ পৰা 30 হল. So additional how much increase? 20. So this 20 is nothing but the marginal product. So when we divide this 30 among these two labor, how much each of the labor will get? 15. 15, 15. So 15 each. So that is why our average product is 15. So similarly, when we keep on employing more labors, 3, 4, 5, 6, we can see that our total product is changing. And accordingly, our marginal product also changes and average product. So with the help of this table, we can find out the relationship between total product, marginal product and average product. So this is very important for the law of variable proportions to understand the relationship between total product, marginal product and average product. So that's why you see I will explain you with the help of the table. You see the first relation between average product and marginal product. When both average product and marginal product are increasing, the marginal product is more than the average product. When both average product and marginal products are increasing, the marginal product is more than the average product. You see in the table, when both are increasing, you see till the unit number 3, marginal product is increasing from 10 to 20, 20 to 15. Average product is increasing 10, 15, 15 up to third unit. Okay. So you see when both are increasing, marginal product is more than the average product. So you see marginal product increases 10 to 20, 20 to 15, but average product increases 10, 15, 15. So definitely increase rate of marginal product is more. Okay, that is the first relation. Then the second relation is that when the average product is maximum, it is equal to the marginal product. When average product is maximum, it is equal to the marginal product. So we can see in the table again. So when average product is maximum, AP is maximum on the third unit, 15, isn't it? So it is 15 when average, after that it is declining. Okay, you can see. So when average product is increasing, average product is maximum, it is equal to marginal product. You can see in the third unit, marginal product is also 15. So we can conclude that when average product is maximum, average product is equal to marginal product. This is the second important relation between average and marginal product. And the third important relation is that when the average product falls, the marginal product is less than the average product. So we will show you with the help of the diagram also in the next slides. So here first we will explain it with the help of the table. When the average product falls, the marginal product is less than the average product. You see here in the table, when the average product falls, marginal product is less than the average product. So average product is falling 15 to 13, 13 to 10.4, 10.4 to 8. And marginal product is falling, you see 7, 0, minus 4. So when both are falling, we see that falling rate of marginal productivity is more than the falling rate of average productivity. So marginal products falls faster than the average product. And lastly, we have one more relation between the total product and the marginal product. What is that? When total product is maximum, marginal product is 0. And one more, when total product is falling, marginal product is negative. So let us see this with the help in the table. When total product is maximum, marginal product is 0. You see, total product is maximum in which unit? In unit number variable factor. You see, fifth. When we employ the fifth variable factor, total product is 52. It is maximum. And when it is maximum, you see marginal product is 0. So যেতিয়া আমাৰ total production বা total product maximum হ'ব, তেতিয়া আমাৰ marginal product 0 হ'ব. And after that, when you see, when total product starts falling, that is the last relation, when total product starts falling, marginal product becomes negative. You see in unit number 6, total product is 48. From 52 to it becomes 48. So marginal products is negative from 0 to minus 4. So we can conclude that when total product falls, marginal product becomes negative. So these are the relationship between average product, marginal product and total product. What is that? When both average product and marginal products are increasing, the marginal product is more than the average product. Number 2, when average product is maximum, it is equal to the marginal product. Number 3, when the average product falls, the marginal product is less than the average product. When total product is maximum, marginal product is 0. Lastly, when total product is falling, marginal product is negative. So we have to remember all this relation because this will help us to explain the theory in detail. So now let us introduce the theory or the law of variable proportion. What is law of variable proportion? As I already said, the law of variable proportion is also called the law of diminishing returns. So it operates in the short run where we cannot change all the factors of production. Further, this law studies the change in output by changing the quantity of one input. Technically, the law states that as we increase the quantity of one input, which is combined with other fixed inputs, the marginal physical productivity of variable input must eventually decline. So technically, when we keep on increasing the variable factor on the same fixed factor, what happens? The marginal productivity of the variable factor should gradually decline. So that is what the law of diminishing production says. So how we state the law? While stating the law, we have to say that law of variable proportion states that as we increase quantity of only one input, keeping other inputs fixed, total product initially increases at an increasing rate, then at decreasing rate, and finally at a negative rate. So here you see, when we made the statement, we have seen that we have mentioned when we keep on increasing the variable inputs, for example labor, when you keep on increasing the labor, keeping the capital fixed, what happens? Initially our total product increases at an increasing rate, that is the stage 1. Then after a point of time our total product will increase, definitely it will increase, but at a decreasing rate, that is the second stage. And what is the last and final stage? Third stage, that finally total product will start falling. It will increase at a negative rate. Increasing at a negative rate means it starts falling. So here from the statement of the law, we can see there are 3 different stages that we are going to explain with the law. But before explaining the law technically, I would just like to give you one example, practical example that I always like to give in my class, which is become very helpful for the student to understand. So in this slide you can see one picture of 2 students in the class. So what is the atmosphere in the class? It is very dull. That students are sitting quietly and teacher is teaching. So class is not lively. It's going on. Teaching learning process is going on. Okay. Now second picture you can see. More students added to the class. You can see the happy faces. Students are smiling. So class becomes lively as we increase the number of students, because there is more interaction. They have more friends, more discussion. So class becomes lively. Productivity of the class increases. Third, you see again we increase some more students, so productivity again increases. But here some of the faces are not happy, so that means productivity is increasing, but somewhere something is missing. You can see the fourth picture. Class is now fully packed. So in this class what happens? It is become difficult for the teacher to communicate with each and every student. So we have to spend some time to ask students not to talk. Some students are talking with themselves, some students are busy with the mobile phone, some are thinking something else. So we don't know who is thinking what. So it will be very difficult for the student to keep them busy in the class. It will be very difficult for the teacher to keep them busy in the class. So in that way, somewhere productivity is decreasing. Okay, productivity is increasing but at a decreasing rate because number of students are increasing. Lastly, you can see a class with students where there is no capacity for the students to sit. All are standing, most of them are standing. So you can see in this situation of a classroom, is it possible for the teacher to take the class? Definitely not. So productivity of the class will go down because there is no atmosphere for the teacher to teach. So teaching learning process will gradually decline. So what I am trying to say from this picture, from these 5 pictures, you can see that from the first to second, there is an increase in productivity at an increasing rate. Because when we increase the number of students, the class became happy, productivity increases. Then from third to fourth and fourth to fifth, from second to third, you can see, and third to fourth, number of students are increasing, but somewhere the class is not able to produce as much as it should. So somewhere productivity declines. And the last picture shows the negative return, where the total productivity declines and the marginal productivity becomes negative. So there are 3 different stages we can see. So this is what the law of variable proportion tries to explain. Here in these pictures, what is the fixed factor? The classroom and the teacher. What is the variable factor? The students. So if we keep on increasing the number of students up to a point, the class will be productive. Then after a point, the productivity will decline. And after a point when the capacity is fully utilized, still we increase the number of students, the total productivity of the class will go down. So marginal productivity will be negative. So I hope this will help you to understand the 3 different stages of the law of variable proportion. So now coming back to our technical explanation of the law of variable proportion, where we need to assume certain things. So these are the assumptions of the law of variable proportion, where you see the first assumption, definitely it is a short run theory. So it operates in the short run as factors are classified as variable and fixed factor. The law applies to all fixed factors including land. Under law of variable proportions, different units of variable factor can be combined with fixed factor. That means there should be a scope for the fixed factor to employ more variable factor. So if we consider land as a fixed factor, in one piece of land there is an opportunity for number of laborers to work. Number 4, this law applies to the field of production only. 5, the effect of change in output due to change in variable factor can be easily determined. That means when we change the variable factor, when we employ one more variable factor, what is the change in output? That can be easily calculated. It is assumed like that. Another assumption is that factors of production become imperfect substitute of each other beyond a certain limit. So up to a limit it is perfectly substitute, but after a certain limit the productivity of the variable factor declines. So it is imperfect substitute. The technology is assumed to be constant during the operation of the law, because what happens if technology keeps on changing, we cannot say that law of variable proportion it applies. If we keep on changing the technology, instead of having decreasing returns, negative returns, all the time we can have the increasing returns. So we have to keep the technology constant. Number 8, it is assumed that all variable factors are equally efficient. So these are the assumptions. On the basis of these assumptions, we try to explain the law of variable proportion. So what is the explanation of the law? Law of variable proportion explains that the quantity of one factor is increased, keeping the other factor fixed. The marginal product of that factor will eventually decline. As I said, when we keep the one factor fixed and we keep on increasing the other factor, as we have seen in our classroom, when we keep on changing the number of students, then the marginal product of that factor will eventually decline. Then marginal product or additional output added to that production process is declined. So there are 3 different stages. As we have mentioned, you know that it doesn't decline immediately. So it declines gradually. Initially it increases. So law of variable proportion says that initially the total product or marginal product increases at an increasing rate. Then total product increases at a diminishing rate. And after that also, if we keep on increasing the variable factor, the marginal product becomes negative and the total product starts falling. So these are the three stages of the law of variable proportion. So here, with the help of this table, we can easily find out the three different stages of the law of variable proportion. So you see, we have employed up to 8 units of labor, and we have shown total product, marginal product and average product. You can see here in this table up to 1, 2, 3 units of labor, the marginal product is increasing and average product is also increasing. When we employ the 4th unit of labor, marginal product starts falling from 6 to 4, but average product remains same, or you can see it is increasing. So this 1 to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 to 4th unit of labor gives you the stage of increasing returns. Why? Because at this stage we can say that total product is increasing and the average product is also increasing and marginal product increasing, but after a point it starts decreasing. But since total product is increasing and the average product is also increasing, that is why this entire stage is called stage of increasing return. In this stage, one more point is there, the point of inflection. In this stage we have one more point, the point of inflection. I will show you in the diagram later. Point of inflection comes in the 3rd unit of labor. When you employ the 3rd unit of labor, that gives you the point of inflection where the marginal product is maximum. Okay, that I will show you later, but you can see here when you employ 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th unit of labor, total production increases from 2 to 16, marginal production is increasing 2, 4, 6, after that it starts decreasing. Average product increases throughout this stage 2, 3, 4 and 4. So this is the stage of increasing returns. Okay. Now comes to the stage of, okay, see here you can see the stage of increasing returns in the diagram I have shown. When we draw the marginal product curve, average product curve and total product curve from the table, we will get the marginal product, average product and total product curve like this shape. So here what I am trying to show you, stage 1 of increasing return. You see stage 1 starts from point 0, point of origin, and it moves till point S. In the lower diagram you can see there is a point S. Okay. So where average product is maximum. At point S, average product is maximum. And after that, average product starts declining. So stage 1 of increasing return starts from the origin and it will continue till the average product is maximum. Stage of increasing returns. Okay. So in this diagram, again in the above diagram, top diagram, you can see I have shown one point called F, point of inflection. So what is that point of inflection? Point of inflection is the point where the marginal product is maximum. You can see point F and you come down, you see this is the point where marginal product is maximum. So let me show you in the table also. You see in the 3rd unit. In the 3rd unit, total production is 12, marginal production is 6. So that 6 and 12 is the point of inflection. So point of inflection is the point actually till where the total product is increasing at increasing rate. Okay. After that it starts actually decreasing. You see after point F, total product curve takes a turn. So that turn shows that already decreasing return starts in the stage 1, but still it is considered in the stage 1. Why? Because average product is still increasing. You see average product curve is still going up. So that is why this is this comes under stage 1 of increasing return. So in a very simple manner, you remember that stage 1 of increasing return starts from origin and it continues till the average product is maximum. Now coming to stage 2 of diminishing returns. In stage 2 of diminishing returns, what happens? Total product continues to increase but at a diminishing rate until it reaches its maximum point H, where the second stage ends. So in this, both the marginal product and average product of labor are diminishing but are positive. Okay, let me explain the second stage with the help of the table. Second stage of diminishing returns. So you can see second stage starts from the unit 4. First stage ends at unit 4 and second stage starts at unit 4. So it starts unit 4 to 5, 5 to 6. In this stage, when we employ the fifth unit of labor, you see total product increases from 16 to 18, marginal product decrease from 4 to 2, and the average product is also starts decreasing from 4 to 3.6. When you employ the sixth unit of labor, total product remains same 18, so definitely marginal products become 0 and the average product falls 3.6. So this portion or these three factor units 4, 5, 6 together we call stage 2 of decreasing returns, because at this stage we have seen that marginal product is falling and at the same time average product also starts falling. So that is why it comes under the stage of decreasing returns, and stage of decreasing returns ends at a point where it ends when the marginal product is 0. So you see unit number 6, what is the marginal product? It is 0. So marginal product ends, marginal product 0, that means here the stage 2 ends. Stage 2 of decreasing return ends when the marginal product is 0, or we can say when the total product is maximum. You see total product 18, so it is maximum. After that it starts declining. So when total product is maximum or marginal product is 0, that is the point where the stage 2 of decreasing return ends. So you see this same thing in the diagram also. Stage 2 starts from point S, that is maximum AP, and it continues till point M. M means where marginal productivity is 0. It is tangent to x-axis. So here the marginal productivity is 0, or we can see it ends at the point H in the top diagram. Total product is maximum at point H. So that is where the second stage of diminishing returns ends. So this is a very important stage, because most of the production function, most of the production house or producers like to produce in this stage of decreasing return, because they like to use the fixed factor fully, and because of the optimal use of the fixed factor and because of the lack of perfect substitute between the factors, there is a diminishing returns. So diminishing returns occurs due to optimal use of fixed factor and lack of perfect substitute between factors. So this stage is very crucial, because as I said, all firms they like to produce at this stage. And the third stage is very simple, stage of negative returns. So in this stage what happens? Total product declines, and therefore the total product curves slopes downwards. As a result, the marginal product curve also falls below the x-axis, and average product curve is also falling down. But here you see in the table, we will see first how it behaves. Okay, you see in the table unit number 7 and 8, when we employed unit 7, total product reduces from 18 to 14, right? 18 to 14. So what is the marginal product? Minus 4. Average product is 2. When we employed the 8th unit of labor, total product declines 14 to 8. What is the marginal product? Minus 6. So it continues. If we keep on employing more, there will be less of total product and the marginal product will be negative. So stage 3 of negative return starts from the 6th unit and it continues till 8th unit. So we have shown here only 8, so it continues till 8 unit, where we can see that in stage 3 the total product starts falling and marginal products become negative. So same thing we can see in the diagram also. You see stage 3, stage of negative returns. You see in this marginal product curve, it goes beyond the x-axis, and the total product curve after the point H, total product curve starts falling. So this is the stage of negative returns. So stage of negative return, it's a non-economic stage. Nobody would like to produce at this stage. No rational producer will produce at this stage because it is inefficient and non-economic stage or non-economic phase. So this stage is not in this stage. Nobody like to produce or nobody like to continue their production. So these three are the stages of law of variable proportion: stage of increasing returns, stage of diminishing returns, stage of negative returns. Okay, so why this law is important? What is the significance of the law? This applicability of the law, importance and applicability of the law. This, as I told, this is the very important and very popular law of production, short-term production function. Law of variable proportion, it has a universal applicability in any branch of production. So it forms the basis of number of doctrines in economics. So number of theories in economics are developed on the basis of this law of variable proportion. So for example, we can talk about the Malthusian theory of population, where Malthus he tried to explain that food supply does not increase faster than the growth of population. He says that growth of population increases at a geometric rate, whereas food supply increases at an arithmetic rate. Okay, and why it increases at an arithmetic rate? Because of the operation of the law of diminishing returns in the agricultural sector. Then the most popular theory of rent, Ricardian theory of rent, is also based on the law of diminishing returns or law of variable proportion. So according to him, it arises, rent arises because of the operation of the law of diminishing returns, forces the application of additional additional doses of labor and capital on piece of land. So similarly, the law of diminishing marginal utility, I think your Junali ma'am is discussing law of marginal utility, law of marginal physical productivity. So all these theories, physical productivity, all these theories are based on the law of variable proportion. So law of variable proportion is a very popular, and it is called one of the foundation theory of production. So one need to understand the producer's behavior, must have the understanding of the law of variable proportion. So I hope this video, this class will help you to understand the law of variable proportion, different stages of the law of variable proportion, relationship between the average, marginal and the total product, all the concepts that is related to the law of variable proportion. And if you have any doubt regarding the topic, what we have discussed, as I already told you, we have our WhatsApp class, so you can post your question there. I will be happy to answer, I'll try my best to answer your queries. So till then, till our next video, where we are going to discuss long run production function theory, that is the theory of returns to scale. Till then, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.